guess who's back?
Yeah.
Couldn't kill us for good.
Yeah, so hopefully this weekend, the weekend of us recording this, the podcast that we were supposed to have uploaded way back in August goes up.
Opa.
Yeah, we got distracted with a few things. One of us got, sick.
No, what happened is you got terribly sick, I got terribly sick, you got terribly sick, and then I got horribly sick again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just kept going back and forth until New Year's basically happened. And at that point, I wasn't working anymore. So.
We took a break just before one of my favorite episodes in all of One Piece.
Yeah.
We got out before the going got ace.
Yeah, so...
Also, I have this baggie of, gummies because I'm allergic to gelatin. And it's literally the only brand I can eat. I live a sad life with
It's not the fact that you're
allergies.
allergic to it, it's not the fact that your stomach doesn't like it.
My stomach tries to tell me it's twisting, and my stomach is trying to jump rope with my intestines whenever I have gelatin or bananas.
Yeah.
Yes. It's sad.
Okay.
Horribly sad.
So, how about we recap what happened previously?
Chopper the blue-nosed reindeer
Yep.
had a super sad backstory.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so...
And Dalton was hiding stuff.
Yeah, and so now we're at the point where they're up at the castle.
Okay.
And,
this is probably the best...
and everyone's converging onto the castle.
Literally. Everyone's trying to race for the castle all at the same time. Except for the reindeer and the doctor who live up there.
Yeah. So, episode 86. This one had a really long title because it didn't have a comma. It doesn't have two sentences, one that's an exclamation and then an explanation.
Yeah, also, this set of episodes, really I think more so than many other groupings of episodes we have, really reinforce the theme of One Piece and the theme of the inherited will, which is the first line spoken in the opening of this part of the arc.
Yeah.
Because I don't know when the arc's theme changes. It changes eventually, but I don't know when it changes.
Okay, so we're
Okay, back.
we're in the flashback.
Oh yeah. So, what happened? So Chopper becomes instantly endearing after we figure out about his sad backstory, because it's story time with Auntie Kureha.
Yeah.
And sad and lonely Chopper is trying to find meaning in the world after he gets kicked out for being a good person.
Yeah, and what I describe in my notes as Dr. Hurlick does some science-minded vandalism.
That's precisely everything about Hero Luck's character. And it's glorious. I remember, because it's been so long, but the instant you said science-minded vandalism, it reminds me of the time he turned a dude into a frog.
Yeah.
To get rid of the frog in his throat, he just turned all of him into a frog.
Meanwhile, Chopper is basically traveling down, trying to find any sort of spot that they can... I'm trying to find the correct words for it. They're trying to find a spot that they can...
Work?
Oh, that's it. He's trying to find a specific item, which is this mushroom that he believes that can save Dr. Hurlick.
Because he figured out that the reason why
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait. What were you going to say?
He figured out the reason why Hero Luck kicked him out.
Oh.
Because that was in the previous batch of episodes.
Yeah, but so he comes across the reindeer that
His herd, which
Yeah.
I like to call the big stallion of the herd. I like to call him Dasher, because Dasher was a terrible dad in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and was probably Chopper's actual dad, because the themes of the two are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, in my notes, I just called him Dasher and just left it as that.
But after basically fighting off Dasher and finding the mushroom, he comes back and he's like horribly mangled.
Oh,
he's, like,
yeah.
bleeding.
His foot's twisted backwards. It's like, it's horrifying.
But you
trouble
have to
he
remember,
went to.
Chopper may be small, cute, and innocent, but like every other character in the series, Oda is totally willing to mess them up if he needs to.
Oh, yeah. Like, and this isn't even the worst of it. This isn't even the worst transgression he's gonna do with one of the Straw Hats, even.
Yeah.
Because he puts Luffy through way worse than what Chopper went through. And also, you have to remember, Chopper is actually like 3 times his own size when he wants to be.
Yeah, so Dr. Hurlick, after, as he takes care of Chopper's wounds, finally ends his 30 years of fruitless work and finally manages to find this pink powder that he just gives to Kuroha and goes, "This is what I've been working on." And she goes,
30 years of
I was like, "Man,
useless
you lead a sad life."
it's like, basically the gist of it is that you wasted 30 years of work on this. And it's like, you can tell in her tone that she's kind of she's not angry. She's just disappointed in him.
Mm-hmm.
My glasses is catching the reflection off that.
Yeah, and I did like how even in flashback, Chopper does not know how to hide.
He's just like running everywhere. It's just like, he doesn't even duck behind the bed or underneath the bed, which are perfectly sound, reasonable places for him to hide because he's so small.
Yeah, Dr. Kuroha basically shows up and says,
It's like, stop
"Chopper,
running!
what have you done?" And he goes, "Well, I found this mushroom labeled into this book that..."
This magical cure-all mushroom. I found it. I did it. And there was the scene with Hiruluk where he's like, that tasted disgusting, because he basically made a soup out of the mushroom. And Chopper's like, "Oh no, I messed up the soup," because clearly Chopper is eager to please. And it's so very sad. And Hiruluk is like, it's okay. Good man, doesn't taste terrible anyways. Which, if you've ever had Mucinex in liquid form, you know that it tastes like the worst.
But then he opens up the book to show the page that he was talking about. Turns out that the mushroom is highly poisonous. But the only reason why he thought it would work is because the skull and crossbones to show toxicity reminded him of Hurlick's flag. And he thought that that's the one, that's the signal he needed to use.
Because Hiruluk's a terrible doctor, and he's even a worse teacher.
We'll get back to this in a later
because
episode.
we had a discussion about the skull and crossbones. Do we want to talk about
No, we'll get to it at the end of all of this.
Okay, fair enough. Because it was like, I went down the rabbit hole.
This mini arc effectively ends at the end of these 5 episodes. So once we're basically done with that, we can talk about everything that's happened so far. Yeah. And so Dr. Hurlick goes, "Oh, that's why he made a suicide run up to the castle."
No, Kureha's the one who said that.
Yeah, Dr. Kuroha is basically like, so that's why he took a suicide mission up there, because he knows he's dead. So
because apparently they're known as the Ishin 21.
The 20 MD in English.
Yeah, I like the Ishin 20 more because it just has a really nice ring to it. Which I don't know if we talked about them in length in the last episode, because it's been months. It's been almost a year.
No. I think we mentioned the fact that that he has creepy doctors basically following around So
Yeah.
whenever he gets hurt, he can get repaired.
Yeah, but it's been so long that basically
They're practicing
Wapol-
doctors, but instead they have to.
they like
have to.
hold up their hands like this as if they're prepared to do surgery. And
Don't touch me, I'm sterile.
So basically, Wapol
I can't go
took...
a single day without quoting SpongeBob in some way, shape, or form.
No, you can't, but at least you quote the good scenes and not the bad scenes. So, and the bad scenes are any scene that I don't find funny. So, as long as you quote the good scenes, we're good. But so basically, to catch everybody up, Wapol narrowed down the country's entire group of doctors, because apparently at one point the Drum Island was famous for its doctors. It had some of the best doctors in the region.
I think we brought it up the first time that we even got to this island, but I don't think we elaborated too much in the previous one.
And he took the best 20 because he left out the single best one, which is Kureha, who wanted none
It's
of that.
the 20 that would most likely follow suit. It's not the fact that they are the best doctors, it's the one that were willing to work for him.
And any of the other ones he either killed or exiled them. Exiled them how? Probably banished them off into the snow mountain full of were rabbits. Or tied them up and shipped them out in a boat. Either one, I wouldn't put either of them past Wapol.
But there's actually something, so the reason why all of this starts happening is because he announces to the displeasure of Dalton that they're sick and they're gonna and they say this to lure out the remaining doctors. Kureha is far smarter than Herlick. So
because Herlick doesn't
using an assortment of bombs commandeers a gondola to get up to the I keep saying gondola. It's not a gondola. I said in the previous episode too.
Ropeway. It's even told to us several times.
Yeah, it's a ropeway. I forget what the actual phrase is.
I don't care. I mean, I could care, but you know.
The glorified ski lift is going up there.
Yeah, the rope ski lift. It's a wonder it's even still working after all these years. Yeah, so he commandeers. Why did I turn to this page already? And so he goes up there, and Herlick's like, they're sick. I'm here to help, and Wapol just starts laughing at him. It's like,
I was like, you're an
as
idiot.
if we would call you to come and help us. And Herlick just starts breaking down. It's like, yeah, well, okay. Oh, you had me. He basically says, you had me going there. I thought they were actually sick.
And then he goes, I'm so glad that no one is sick. As Dalton kind of sits there and goes, this guy knew it was a trap, but he came here in case they actually were sick. Who the heck is this guy? As he starts listening to what they're saying, and Wapol starts threatening death upon him, but he already knows he's gonna die, so he doesn't really care.
Yeah, and then Herlick launches into a speech which seems to echo off of Roger. Like, the few times we've seen Roger in the series already, it kind of echoes the theme of inherited will, which is not only harkening back to past episodes with Roger, but also future episodes that we're going to see with other characters. And not just other characters, other Straw Hats that we've met and we're going to meet. Is that theme, and Herlick says, when do you think a person dies? And it's like, it's this really cool scene as we figure out Herlick's a quack. Probably the worst doctor in the entire series. Except maybe for Luffy.
Yeah.
And so...
This fish looks fun to eat. Eats it, gets sick. Yeah.
And Chop, just with his hooves in his hands, is like, ah! And so Herlick, he's a quack. Terrible doctor. Manages to save one last person on his way out.
And it was quite the...
And it
he
was
went out with a
Dalton.
bang, I should try to mention.
Yeah.
But, so... Dalton,
yeah.
says a pretty interesting line as Wapol's kind of, is kind of like laughing at that, and he says, I think the phrase is, "There's no medicine that can cure fools."
Yes, that's Dalton's line, because Hiralux saves Chopper, and on his way out he saves Dalton, one of the most important people he could have helped in the entire country.
Yeah. So, episode 87 basically starts with Wapple basically showing up to the castle finally.
Mm-hmm.
And basically 3 things are noticed. 1, that the fact that they're outside. 2, the fact that the Straw Hats are now about to fight them. And the fact that Wapple is kind of upset that Hurlick's flag is flying above the castle.
As Kureha said, she burned it like a piece of trash.
Yeah.
It was more than Wapple's flag deserved.
Yeah. And I love how Luffy is just so happy. He's just so happy he can actually fight.
Yeah, because he's not carrying dying people anymore up a sheer rock wall. Oh, that was still awful too. I remember that. And so, this fight scene... Oh yeah, because Luffy doesn't care about Wapple as a person. You can clearly see that. And Wapple is one of the few people who have earned all of Luffy's ire, which is a very rare place to be at. You know, there's very few spots opened up in Luffy's heart for the dregs of society for him to hate. Wapple's nestled in there, though.
So, what was the thing that Kureha says after Luffy ignores the bad guys again?
I had it written down. I forget. Wait, after which part?
Luffy is ignoring Wapple, and Sanji basically is questioning why he doesn't have warmer clothes on.
Yeah, well, she calls them crazy kids, and she says that... Is this the part where she says that if you kids need help, I'll step in? And she just sits there and watches.
I don't think that one was it. But,
yeah, it was probably another one.
But, there is a good moment in which, Black Algae Man, Kuramamemo,
Marimo is the only thing I have.
Yeah, Marimo is...
I wasn't going to write the whole thing out.
Marimo basically starts shooting out the little balls.
I have Sanji's line, though.
Yeah, as Sanji basically catches it with his foot, and he goes... And
he says, what kind of brother throws an afro at a lady? Sanji! I don't know whether to thank you or to be disappointed in him. But yeah. Because it's such an unexpected line from Sanji.
Sanji can't, remove the ball from him because, static electricity.
Devil fruit, or is this
I have no idea. They never state this is a devil fruit. I believe in the 4-Kids version, this and Django are both considered devil fruits.
Which, it doesn't surprise me if they're both
I believe Kuramamimo's devil fruit is called black algae. Is the black algae devil fruit?
Because his name is supposed to be a pun off of curly black hair. It's what his name literally means. Or Afro Man, basically.
He's no samurai, though.
Yeah. So this fight isn't nearly as cool. In fact, it's about 10 times as lame. But you know what? It's the thought that counts.
But it is actually kind of interesting, the idea of Marimo basically uses his hair to lock someone down in place for Chess to basically take pot shots at them with his flaming arrows, which is honestly a pretty good team attack, all things considered.
But they play the scene as a gag fight, which it really is.
Although the better combo move is Luffy comes back from grabbing Nami's jacket, and they do
Sanji
the combo move.
Slapping him.
Yeah, they do the combo move Gum Shoot, where he reaches out, grabs his foot, and he kicks him forward.
Yeah, I can't pronounce this because it's French. I don't speak a lick of French.
It's gumshoot.
Gumshoot?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, gumshoot is half of it because we have Sanji's air assault.
Oh yeah, the air assault. I forgot about that one.
The Armele... I'm butchering this terribly. La air assault? It's basically, he has Luffy grab his leg, Sanji spins him around, shoots him towards them, and pulls Chopper out of Wapple's mouth.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the hippo thing that they wrote up on goes sailing off. Goodbye.
He goes blasting off again. Because there's even like the ding effect as he like disappears from view. And then we get the glory of Wapple's true power. No, not the true power of his fruit. The step right before the true power of Wapple's fruit, which he turns himself into a house.
Okay, so his ability of the Munch Munch Factory, which is his apparent ultimate form, he eats things, combines them together, and launches them back out. So what he does
spits them out of his stomach.
He eats Chess and Marimo into one being, which is just them sitting on each other's shoulders. But Oda couldn't be bothered to come up with a better character design for these two.
Yeah. Well, the Thinkless Steven universe and more two kids in a trench coat trying to get into an R-rated film, and that's exactly what you got.
Although what's really great is...
they managed to speak in time to each other to at least give the illusion that they're the same character.
Although what's really interesting is Chopper starts running, and he basically uses his size-changing properties to basically slip under the henchman, as I will call him because I do not want to say his entire name, which is very long and stupid. So, the henchman...
It's just their names...
stapled together. So, the
their
henchman...
names on top of each other, just like they are. So even with the name, they couldn't be bothered to come up with something original.
So Chopper uses his size change to go fast, go small to go under him, and then he grows big to launch himself forward to hit Wapple.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Luffy basically yells out, "Now I'm motivated," and
because he's fanboying out at the transforming talking reindeer. Chopper is selling himself so hard to Luffy, it hurts.
And then the best moment of this episode happens.
Mm-hmm.
Luffy manages to get up to the flag.
Well, no, Wapple decides to arm himself with a cannon and shoot up at the flag.
Yeah, and
which Chopper freaks out.
But Luffy makes it up there to basically put it back into place by ripping the ripping one of the arms off of his borrowed outfit.
Ties it back up, and then
he goes, "Okay, it should be pretty good now."
And Wapple's like, "Don't put that flag back up after I've knocked that joke down." And you see like Luffy's entire demeanor, at least for this moment, change, because suddenly he understands what this fight is actually about.
And he says, "You can't break this flag." As Wapple goes, "Sure I can," and shoots it again.
And Luffy, and like the dust, because everyone's like, "He's dead. He's gone. It's over. He tried, but it's over." Dust clears. There's Luffy, his face cast in shadow, and she's just holding the flag saying, "See? It didn't fall." And she's just like holding it, and I'm like...
And then he says like something close to, "The skull is a mark of faith." And he like plants it back down. And he goes, Chopper... "As long as it stays standing, people have a reason to fight effectively."
It's like, he doesn't just like slam it down. He buries it like a good 3 inches into like the actual stone of the roof.
And upon this moment, for the next few episodes, is what I would consider platinum-worthy moments.
And unfortunately, because they're all
Yeah,
next
because
to
they're all
each
right
other?
next to each other, I can't really give any one of them a platinum because they all kind of all sit together.
But
So
if
I'm
we
gonna
have
just
to
say
have
right
a
now,
platinum
if
moment,
I were
it's
to,
this one.
yeah, if I were to give a platinum moment, it would be that. But I
Oh, yeah.
can't give it to that episode in particular because we got to go into episode 88.
Which is just as good!
So, so Chopper's like, oh, that was really inspiring, Luffy. Thanks. I'm gonna beat these bad guys up. And then Luffy goes, I'm gonna beat these bad guys up now. And it's like, okay.
That's not what happened.
But,
Okay. So we basically got...
I forget what happens between Luffy coming back down and Chopper showing off his ability.
Okay. So... Alright, so... It's basically it's basically, the henchman, as you called him, which is actually shorter than calling him by their name. Calls Chopper a freak because he's a talking reindeer, and it's like he's trying to put him down.
Right.
And Luffy basically... Oh, is this the moment?
Yeah, and then
where
Luffy goes...
Kureha stomps his back in?
in a
Yes!
pit, I believe.
Ah, that's the funniest part.
So, yeah, so they're insulting him, and then...
Oh, yeah.
And then Luffy
That is
basically
what
yells out,
Like, he
I
tagged...
am your friend, don't give up.
Uh-huh.
And Chopper goes, well, now I'm motivated, as he pulls out what he calls a rumble ball.
No, not yet, because the bedside manner part happens
Oh, right.
Because Sanji takes, like, 5 steps, because he threw his backpack out, twirling Luffy and his dead weight around. So he, like, slung around, threw his back out, and he takes 2 steps, and, like, you, like, see his back, like, bow in, and, like, Kureha slings in, nails, like, the heel of her foot into the small of his back, and, like, brings him down. It's like, you're not going anywhere. And I'm like, her bedside manner is impeccable.
Yeah,
And that's
so,
where Sanji sits for the rest of the episode. For at least half of the episode. Because he does try to escape.
So, Chopper eats one of these rumble balls.
Which is just like a jawbreaker. It's like a yellow jaw.
Meanwhile, hey, Dalton is still alive. They dug him out.
Yeah.
And the 20MD, or what was their name that you called them?
The Ishin 20.
The Ishin 20 basically come up going, we're doctors. We are basically under oath to help anyone we can.
And Dalton's act of bravery has inspired them.
Yeah.
To basically...
They basically patch him up enough for him to basically be able to sit up and say what he wants to effectively. But we'll get back to that because we're about to get to a moment which I will call from here on out. Luffy wants this as a crew member moment.
Well, he's been gunning for Chopper since Chopper opened his mouth.
Yeah, so Chopper basically
this is just
eats the
selling
ball.
him even harder. Like, Chopper is just selling himself over and over again.
Chopper eats this ball that's like a bunch of herbs and like
whatever,
and
it's
like chemicals to help his body like hyper basically he's doping himself up so he can transform rapidly. But not just that, it's more of the fact that he's not only can transform faster, he can also do halfway transformations. So imagine this.
Because we go into some devil fruits in this more in depth, and they touch on what we already know, that a normal zone devil fruit has 3 transformations. Your base form, which for Chopper is like his reindeer on all 4s, and you have the halfway point, which is Chopper standing up, and he's all small. And then you have his hulked out human form where he looks like a giant yeti, basically.
And if you think of it in like a triangle almost, where it goes animal, human, and then their halfway point. Chopper, while eating this rumble ball, can go into halfway points. as he refers to them, they say in the name
As
of the episode,
point.
as the seven combinations, like 7-type transformation. So he goes into animal mode, which he calls walk point, which
It's
is
reindeer
mostly for
point.
speed.
I have it as reindeer point, but walk point is basically the same thing. There's brain point, which is...
we're not there yet.
Oh.
So we have heavy point, which is his halfway point where he's all muscular. And it sounds like he uses that as almost like one for like defense, not for like defense,
He calls
but like
it weight
he can,
boost is
yeah,
what he calls it.
he can use it to like weather a lot of blows.
Because he'll also
really fast.
use it for other things. He mostly uses it so he's got some muscle in his arms to kind of do human stuff.
Yeah. And then he shows a halfway point between walk and heavy point called jump point, where he basically launches himself up and is very agile. And then a halfway point between his human, between his small form and his animal form. Wait, that's the one. His small form, which he calls brain point.
Which is where...
We're gonna talk about the abilities of the brain point in a bit, but between brain point and heavy point is guard point, which is highly defensive. That basically he turns into a big puffball and he could take a lot of hits. All 4 of these are shown very quickly between each other as Luffy starts
fanboying out.
Yeah, he goes, okay, I need this person on my team.
He's like, awesome! This is so cool! This is amazing! As like, Wapple's just like watching him, because Luffy's completely got his back turned to him now, and she's just staring at Chopper.
Yeah.
It's like, and if you can't see where this is about to go, then you obviously haven't seen a lot of One Piece, haven't you?
I think jump point is actually...
Either way, jump point,
weird.
he jumps high.
And then he does arm point, which is like a very like physically strong one that he's able to like hold people back a little bit and do extra hits, which the henchmen basically would be able to do a lot of attacks with the 4 axes that they're using, but he's just way too agile for him. He then goes into his regular form, which is, brain point, as he basically takes his hooves like this and he goes like this. Luffy starts freaking out because it's like, he's got a laser? And it's like, no, he's actually analyzing weak points in this.
Is it Sanji who, like, says, no, of course it's not a laser, and, like, Sanji?
I believe it's Sanji.
Because Luffy's like, of course he's got a laser. Why wouldn't he have a laser? And I'm
he then targets specifically the chest part of the henchman as he uppercuts him in the jaw, and it knocks both of them out. Because he analyzed the fact that Chess has a weaker body
than Marimo does. So
because one is more ranged, one is more physical.
And like the only cool attack of all of these is the surprise Quattro axe, because it's the only one with an inventive name, and the other ones are all lame.
We cut back over the Vivi though to show that not only is Dalton up, but he actually wants to get back into the fight.
He wants to tag back in because he's gonna die for this country if no one stops him.
And then Usopp does something that's actually kind of great, where Usopp basically goes, I will carry you up the mountain.
I'm gonna be a man the only way I can.
And Dalton goes, okay. As he basically starts dragging him up the mountain.
He's trying.
And Dalton goes, I could basically walk faster than this.
As like Vivi's like watching this as a worried mom of the group. And while Luffy unfortunately is fanboying out, Wapple gives them the slip.
Yeah. Although
to
you'll
the
notice
surprise
that
of no one but Luffy.
Most people who are astute in this episode would realize that Chopper only showed off 6 of 7 forms.
Yeah, we'll get to that in about 3 arcs.
Yeah.
But hold your horses, though. this one's the best of all of them.
But I do like
Up
how
until the time skip when they make
Chopper, being a doctor, normally you would, again, like, on a crew, of course you're gonna have a captain, a first mate, a pilot, someone up in the crow's nest, and you could expect all of them are able to fight, but you're kind of thinking in your head, like, well, the chef is probably isn't probably one of the best fighters, and maybe the ship doctor is a little bit too frail to, like, do anything.
That's the wrong crew
But,
we're talking about.
Like, Sanji is honestly one of their best fighters, and
he's a mid-range.
And it turns out that Chopper, who
is currently
a
the
Swiss
bruiser.
Army, it's basically a Swiss Army knife of skills. He's not really too versed in fighting a large group of people.
He's the jack of all trades, the master of none type in a way. What?
One. The phrase is master of one, meaning that they hold dominion over a specific trait, but they
I've
can
heard
go
it
to...
as master of none as well.
Yes.
Because when you put skills in all of them, you know, you kind of like...
They are a master of their own domain, but they can cross over into a lot of various different ones. Again, the phrase has slowly, like, drifted off between the two.
Sugar.
But yeah, it's like when you really think about it, like, in the course of these episodes, though, Chopper is really in this episode in particular, shows off what useful how useful he is to the actual crew. Because again, like, he could basically be standing off into the distance using brain point and go like, okay, I found his weakness, tell someone else. He doesn't have to get into the fight, but he could also go into more agile modes and, like, help people out. He can do all this type of stuff.
He can hold his own. He's not one of, as they're going to be called, the big three. You know, we haven't really gotten a lot of time for Sanji to shine yet, but
he's mostly doing
Chopper
stupid
can
stuff.
hold his own, which is important if you're going to be on the crew of the King of the Pirates. No one wants to be Buggy on the crew unless you're Usopp. Then you manage to do more than Buggy did. But so, back with Dalton, as Usopp's trying to get Dalton up the hill, you know, Zoro's actually impressed by this. He's like, you know what, you're trying, and he takes over and carries Dalton
with one
the rest
hand.
of the way up the hill.
With one hand.
Uh-huh.
And we get to the next episode, episode 89, in which we basically see the fact that Nami is woken up out of bed as she's basically going around, and we get a sudden moment where, like, oh yeah, Nami doesn't actually know who Wapol is.
Because she was in bed when he attacked, which is why Sanji got all upset on the boat, because Wapol was getting closer and closer to Nami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, so we get... Okay, so Nami's basically saying they're going, okay, so I don't want this guy on my side, so I'm gonna just pretend I'm not associated with the Straw Hats and basically just leave. As Wapol goes, liar, as he climbs up the pillar.
Oh, it's kind of like he caterpillared his way up there. It's just so disconcerting. Everything about Wapol is just
he
hard
starts
to
chasing
watch.
Nami until he gets stuck in the staircase. And then he eats himself to get unstuck.
We realize the true potential of the Munch fruit, it's called, right? That you too can lose up to 100 pounds in just one exercise move.
Yeah, so he becomes incredibly thin, and all I write in my notes of this is, I'm scared.
I wrote, he ate himself, and I'm trying to think of something else. Was that all? I wrote, it's a horror movie now.
Yeah, where he slowly
he's
starts eating himself. And just his chin is following her. It's like, ugh.
Oh yeah, because his chin stays the same length, and he's got, like, this huge, like, the crimson chin, like, face to him, and it's like,
the weird part is like, is Nami's like, oh no, he's thin, and it shows a Kiana's belt, and it's like, what? Why would they show Kiana's belt? Well, it's because he needs to get into this arsenal behind him full of dangerous weapons that he's gonna eat them, and then turn into a massive walking death machine, and then the Kiana's belt is gone,
Because Nami wouldn't be Nami if she weren't up to her old tricks again.
Yeah, she stole the belt right off of him.
Well, he wasn't using it anymore, so it's not like he needed that belt anyways.
So he goes, okay, plan B. I'm going to go up to this 7-chambered cannon that I have sitting up on this pillar. So not pillar, tower. And he's going to use it. He uses it, and it doesn't work.
Because full of snowbirds.
And I looked at that and said, oh, look, it's the birds. It's the birds with the weird head that I pointed out in, like, episode 2.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's nice to know that they're not just relegated to a singular island in the East Blue.
Yeah.
Turns out that they're winter birds.
Yeah.
Is that?
Uh-huh.
Meanwhile, we get a,
And so we basically figure out that the only working line connecting to the chimney
going back to the reinforcements that are coming out.
Yeah, very slowly. Is that the only reason why there's a working line is because it's attached to Kureha's old house, and of course she wouldn't cut that one, and she would monopolize that only way up and down.
Yeah. It also explains why people thought that she was flying through the air. But we'll actually get to that in a later episode.
Meanwhile, Dalton's got the crazy eyes because, back during the flashback, when Dalton stood up to Wapple, he got thrown in a cell and was probably tortured in that cell for a long time. And Wapple just left him there to die.
So
someone's gone crazy?
But we can't stay on the reinforcements for too long because
they're the
Luffy is in the middle of telling him he can't eat the birds.
Good Luffy! It's very good.
And
don't eat the birds.
And it's really great. Babies. Like he goes to eat Luffy, and as he's like holding his mouth shut, so he's like and his hand like stretches around it, and he goes tongue cannon. He just shoots him with his tongue cannon. It's like, huh. And what's really great is Luffy then launches him right up into the roof. As he's like, why'd you do that? As he looks up, and the flag is right under him. So he goes, well, that's awkward. And then Luffy basically goes there, stretches his hands farther than he's ever done before backwards, and launches a bazooka, so he flies so far into the distance, we don't know where he went. Yeah,
and Wapple's final words is that for fighting Luffy, he's committed a world-class offense, and he will face retribution from the government for that.
He goes, I don't care. He goes, okay, I'll make you I'll make you a vice king. How about that? Launch. I was like, you started off with a threat. You probably shouldn't have.
Yeah. And Dalton's crazy is actively killing him. Because he's just so crazy and just so narrow-minded.
Oh yeah, I forgot. He's like, in case it calls for it, I've got this dynamite sitting right here. And it's like, how long have you had that? And then it's like
the whole time.
And then he launch. And then they launch. Wapple off as you go. Oh.
This was unnecessary then. And he stows it away. Like, clearly that if the situation called for it again, he would whip it back out to use it.
And so,
I think, like,
Vivi, and Usopp
takes it from him.
No, so the three of them that were down with Dalton basically meet up with Luffy after they come through, like, a hatch. As they're basically, as they're basically talking as Usopp is in the background basically talking about how he contributed to this whole thing.
And Luffy accidentally mistakes Zoro for a soldier because back when he was training, he stole the clothing off of one of Wapple's old soldiers, and he's still wearing it because he left his clothes down at the ship still.
Yeah.
And he's the only one prepared for the cold weather at all.
And Chopper has a really feel-good ending about Dalton basically thanks Chopper off in the distance, who's improperly hiding behind a tree. That he's really thankful that he came back and helped them, as he tells all the soldiers to not shoot at him because he is one of the people that saved their country. Mm-hmm. As it basically ends with Luffy once again running after Chopper, trying to get him to
become his magical transforming reindeer crewmate.
Yeah. Honestly, like we're gonna get to episode 90 in a bit.
And Dalton thanks Chopper formally because he recognizes Chopper.
Episode 89 is one of those episodes that it is probably one of the most satisfying defeats of a villain in the entire series so far.
Yeah. We'll get another one, but it won't be this feel-good for quite some time.
Yeah, and like even the ones in which they do defeat him, they have this sort of air of like, well, we can't just stop here, we have to keep going. And then they immediately go off. This is one of those few cases where it's like...
It feels like a bookend or something.
Okay.
Like, it feels like it was crescendoing up, coming back down. It feels like everything that happened on Little Garden was basically to get to this point.
Yeah, so... he wasn't the most super... He wasn't super powerful and he wasn't world-threatening. But... he was just an unabashedly evil man who got his just desserts by Luffy launching him off into the distance.
Literally, he got his just desserts because he eats things.
And it feels so great. I just can't help but love this mini arc.
It's also a sign of things to come. Because this is the first time I think that Luffy takes down an actual monarch.
Yeah.
By himself. Like, I don't think there's... Because there was Arlong, but he doesn't count because he was a pirate who took over an area. Don Krieg was a pirate as well. And he had gotten kind of
lazy over the years of having to, not really doing much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but this is the first time that Luffy's actually gone up against somebody with actual government power who was abusing their power horribly and thought that the world would steamroll over for them.
Yeah. And I would love to give, in these 10 episodes, in this and in the previous set, there is a total of 4 episodes that I am willing to give platinums to, but I can't decide on any one of them being better than the other ones.
Mm-hmm. Because they've all got something that makes them really good. And also, I was going to say something. Oh, but don't worry. We're not done with these characters. If this was in the hand of any other mangaka, we would never see these guys again. It would be a one-and-done arc, and we would never come back to Drum Island except for in one of Chopper's flashbacks. But that's not the way Oda rolls.
Yeah, so we get to episode 90, and basically the first beginning part is Chopper having an emotional recap
of everything he's gone through in his short life.
And them slowly gathering up all the stuff to basically leave right then.
Oh.
And that's most of this episode, but there's quite a bit that happens in between that we gotta talk about.
Kureha used chiropractic karate against Sanji, and it was super effective.
Yeah.
Because it cured his back.
Nami basically pays for all of their medical treatments by giving Kureha the keys to the arsenal.
As Dalton just, gives her, the stink eyes, what are you gonna do with that key? But there's nothing he can do, as he's just you're not, what do you want the key for? I don't have it, Dalton had it, and now it's off with him somewhere. It's he clearly if he had the key, he wouldn't have given it to her anyways.
But we have a really good moment where... Oh, 1 second. Yeah, we have a really great moment where Chopper is, for the first time in the entire series, sitting there with the entire crew all in one place, as Luffy tells him, "You're gonna be on my crew." As he goes, "I don't want to be on your crew." And he goes, "You could be useful on my team. We need a doctor." And
no,
before he
doesn't say that because he doesn't know he's a doctor yet.
No, it's like
that's Nami's information because she brings up
but
that
that's beside the point. Where it's like, Luffy basically says, "Shut up, let's go," as Chopper just starts crying. And then the mid-roll mid-roll ad happens,
and it flies in,
and it's Chopper.
Chopper's
so
first wanted poster that he ever
he is
receives.
now officially part of the crew.
Whether he
with
likes
him breaking
it or
down,
not.
going, "I can't leave these guys."
I can't let them leave off without me.
Meanwhile, as they all kind of escape,
Kureha, like, because what happened is that Kureha took the keys, told Nami that basically, "Now I don't expect you kids to leave, even though I've left you all relatively unguarded, and my warm coat is back there, which you're not supposed to have, and the key to the door is right there on that shelf, and the boy's right there." Walks out with the rest of the able bodyguards, shuts the door behind her, and Nami's like, "Well, I think she wants me to take her coat and Sanji and go."
Yeah, and Dalton's like, "Well, I'm not gonna tell you yes or no because I'm still kind of scared of her." As Kureha is basically setting up all the cannons from the arsenal outside. And if you've basically been keeping up with anything, you can kind of see where this is going from the beginning, but we're going to get to what she's actually doing with the cannons in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, Chopper basically interrupts her, basically going, "I am a man," as the SpongeBob holding up the small little razor. And
Chopper's going to need one heavy duty razor, though.
And Kureha basically does her patented throw items at him.
Clearly missing all of them.
Yeah, and Chopper basically saddles up the sled, gathers up all the guys, and basically runs down the cable, basically showing, against the snowy background, a white rope would just look invisible.
It's
a thin white rope would look invisible, so I guess that's why people think that she's flying.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that makes kind of sense.
Also, there's this note where Sanji, because we're watching the sub because there's no other option. Thanks, 4Kids. But so there's this part where Sanji literally calls Kureha during this batch of episodes after she throws his back out the first time. He literally calls her the Baba Yaga, basically, which is the Witch of the Woods. And she does have that hooked nose, and she is a doctor, so it fits, if the boot fits.
So Kureha is basically looking out on all them running away from her.
And
as Dalton basically gets up out of bed and
follows her out.
As she's just like, "I don't like tears." As she just pretends not to cry and then slaps Dalton right in his wound.
And he takes a knee.
It's like, oh, why'd you do that? But we get to a very interesting thing. Dr. Hurlick wasn't a good doctor, but he sure was a great pyrotechnician. He was looking for the perfect shade of pink to turn into gunpowder for Dr. Kureha to shoot up into the sky and make all the snow turn into pink.
He basically made that polyethylene fake snow. I forget what the exact combination.
No, it's not. It's not fake snow. He basically basically it's a bunch of powder that he put up into the snow clouds.
But it's not fireworks because it lights off right next to all of their faces and everything's fine. It's like fake snow.
Effectively, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Chopper basically looks up as the main pillar, the main drum mountain
has turned into a sakura tree.
Yeah, as all the
Beautiful.
snow is just coming down, turning into pink as he just starts crying. And a few other people start crying, and this moment's a lot better, not only in color, but in animation.
Uh-huh.
But, like, moving,
Because
you
you
know?
see it, like, cloud around Kureha and obscure them all from view as Chopper's just, like, watching it go. You get the feeling that Kureha was waiting for this moment for Chopper to leave to show him that Hero-Luck's last request was followed.
Yeah. And thus ends my favorite almost ends, my favorite mini arc of the series. I'm saying it ends now because
We got...
the next episode isn't much of anything.
It's,
I'm blocking him. Yeah, so we kind of have this. Okay, so what were we going to talk about?
we were going to talk about, the theory of the skull and crossbones. Like,
Right.
it's more of the headcanon of the skull and crossbones. I don't know how much we want to get into. Most of this information is not information we get for at least another 3
No,
months.
but we do have a kind of moment where
we
we realize that because Chopper followed the skull and crossbones in the book, Dr. Hurlick was gonna die, meaning that he was gonna go up there without feeling any sort of like impending dread of
and die with a smile
death.
on his face.
causing Dalton to rebel against the king, causing him to become the people's champion effectively. That when Wapol got thrown out, they wanted him to become the leader.
And because Dalton was hesitant to even take the rule, he's actually a just ruler. Because it's not a responsibility he wants for his own greed. It's something he wants for the good of the actual people, which is what you want in somebody who's supposed to lead. You want somebody who can take charge, but ultimately doesn't want the power for themselves.
All of this inspiring Luffy to
Protect Hero Luck's flag.
To protect Hero Luck's flag.
Which just happens to have the skull and crossbones.
And it gives him enough motivation to take out Wapol, basically saving the country forever.
Mm-hmm.
Because Chopper followed his heart and did something that eventually turned out to be the wrong thing, he saved the country, and Dr. Hurlick finally cured the sickness that the country had been holding over them.
A country
which wasn't
of fools.
No, it wasn't just the fact that that they actually had a medical illness. It's the fact that the entire country as a whole
Was dying.
was dying because an essential part of it was diseased and needed to be cut out.
Mm-hmm.
AKA
even Kureha, to an extent, was affected by this. Because even Kureha and Dalton were affected by inaction.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
Guess I'm
They're
having
twins.
Twins.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3 SpongeBob quotes in a row.
Hey, as long as they're good episodes, you can keep making them for as long as you want.
Mm-hmm.
The walls will lose green slime! No, wait, they always do that. But, this...
So I wanted to
But this theme and this scene of Chopper with the skull and crossbones is a scene that we're actually going to get a lot of mileage of the farther in we go into the series.
Yeah.
The fact that the skull and crossbones, of all things, has an effect on people. And it's an effect that makes them rebel against an ineffective and very tyrannical government.
Yeah, so
which we've only seen the beginnings of.
So I wanted to read the summary that I basically left, that I had left after watching 80.
I was here when you
89.
made this. This was a really cool...
Luffy and his crew are a bunch of monsters. You find vindication between them. This gets more and more true as the series goes on, and in the grand scheme of... and in the grand scheme of things, you know, Luffy basically calling Chopper a monster...
was not an insult. It was a compliment. The highest compliment
he said,
Luffy
you
could...
can be monsters just like us. And we together, we will make each other better. Because
Sanji and Luffy first called Chopper a monster, which makes Chopper think that they hate him. And then Chopper, after he sees Luffy stretch, he kind of looks over to Sanji, and he goes, what is he? You know, what was that? And Sanji goes, he's a rubber man. And Chopper goes, rubber man? What's that? And Sanji turns to him
with a smile
and says, he's a monster. And you can see the gears in Chopper's head turn, and he's like, oh, that's what monster means.
And the thing is, when he's starts...
different.
Like, just to go down the list, Luffy is a very selfish person. He will always have...
absolutely.
And it's not just me saying it. Like, this actually comes from, like, a few people that me and IJ watch. Which
well, he also says it himself.
Luffy is a very selfish person. He will help the people who he feels deserve it and are the closest to him. And
he'll get rid of those he thinks are in his way.
Even if it's on accident. Mm-hmm. And he's accidentally fighting against someone who's actually good.
As we saw in Whiskey Peak.
Yes.
But they deserved it. But he didn't know that they deserved it, so he went after Zoro, who in Luffy's eyes, Zoro was ungrateful for the food and the liquor that they gave him, which is the biggest offense that Luffy can ever give somebody, that he offended somebody who gave Luffy food. Yeah. Which is one of the highest gifts to ever give Luffy, because Luffy can eat his weight in small countries of just meat alone.
We then have Zoro,
who's a demon, and he's called a demon throughout the entire series.
And not just because he's incredibly strong, but because
he's bloodthirsty.
Yeah, in personality, he's very bloodthirsty. He likes combat, and even if he doesn't have anything to do, he will still try to get stronger with himself.
Because we've likened it. Because Zoro is very lawful evil. He will uphold Luffy above Luffy himself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is dangerous.
We then have Nami, who is
a cat burglar.
Yeah,
she has no morals.
She's she's very self-interested. And she will even take debts out on crew members, not because she actually wants money from them, but because of the sort of
abuse she suffered at Arlong's hand.
Yeah,
she extorts people because she doesn't want them to leave her, and she kind of clings them towards her by saying, "No, you owe me, and you're going to pay me 3 times in interest," which is exactly what Arlong did to her.
And the abuse cycle continues again.
And you can tell it's subconscious, and she's never put 2 and 2 together. That if someone called her out on it, she would at first deny it, and then she would get incredibly hurt by it. Because it's true. She does do that to, keep other people she likes close to her.
Yeah.
Usopp the liar.
And then you have Usopp, which we'll get into how he's a
bag
monster.
Of worms.
We'll get into his can of worms that
his can of trick worms that are actually live worms full of pop rocks that explode.
Yeah, that we're gonna bring up later, but Usopp is very sentimental. He holds on to things a lot longer than he should. And I'm not just talking about material things, I'm talking about emotional weight as well.
People and things. He just kind of
didn't want to
collects
leave
and hoards
his home,
things.
Not because he felt like that there was some obligation he needed to do there, but literally because he felt that the girl, I can't remember her name right now. It's not in that.
Kaya.
Yeah. That Kaya would be lost without him. is if he's not there, who is he going to tell the stories to? And
Chopper?
and this whole thing is he likes to hold on to things a little bit too long, and we're going to get into this a lot more. You already see it right now where he's like, we really need someone to help repair the ship, but you can tell that he is happy to repair the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Like
even though he gets pissed at Luffy for like taking the mast and
snapping it in half and shoving it into a whale. Yeah. So
pinwheel that whale.
Yeah, so you have moments where he keeps saying, but anyone else could help repair the ship as well. Except for Luffy and now Chopper, because they both have devil fruits and they can't swim. But Usopp is apparently one of the better swimmers on their team for a very long time.
And then they get one who can swim 15 times greater than he can.
Yeah, and he's I think he becomes their quartermaster.
Oh, we are talking about the wrong guy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It goes in grades. Usopp, crew member number 8, crew member number 9, 8. Yeah, crew member number 8, and then crew member number 10.
Yeah.
It goes in grades like that.
Yeah, I'm saying it by their code names. They're
the Megazord,
their repairman, and their quartermaster, both of which swim a lot better than he can. But even when, but you'll notice that no one is really trying to take it from him, going, "Okay, I'll do it," because you could almost feel like that they don't want to take this from him.
Because it's all he's got.
We're gonna talk about this more when we get to Skypiea, the Skypiea arc.
Oh, that's a can of worms.
He just does not want to leave that ship in someone else's hands.
Oh, and then
because it's a gift.
Yeah, and then we've got Sanji, which Sanji is perhaps as of right now the most normal out of the whole group. He's just got to think for the ladies.
He's kind of lecherous, but
you can tell
he's never too much of a pervert. He loves to love women. He doesn't want
almost
anything.
Like it's a coping mechanism of some kind.
Maybe he just thinks all women look like his mom, or maybe that's just Oda, unable to draw anyone else.
It could be both at the same time.
Yeah.
It's very clear that Sanji has a type. That he doesn't date 140-something-year-old forest witches. He doesn't tend to go for them.
Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to bring all that up because...
But then you got Chopper, who's a literal monster. So
yeah, and he gets more and more monstrous as the series goes on. Not in personality, but in how well he works on the team. Mm-hmm. He even gets to the point where he's bossing people around, and he's
he bosses Zoro around of all people, which that takes quite an amount of guts, but that just shows you the camaraderie that the group's gonna be in. And are we going to talk about Chopper now because he has officially joined the crew?
A little, yeah. We can do that. We'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it. And then we'll give our final.
Because technically, the next episode is technically a filler. Because the only part that's technically canon is that they board the ship and they leave with spears still being thrown at them.
Uh-huh.
So what we got here is Chopper, possibly one of the most important crew members for the Straw Hats. Tied with Sanji, who keeps Luffy's monstrous appetite fed at all costs. So... And it goes, Nami, Chopper, and Sanji are the trifecta of most important crew members I almost said the name of a different ship. On the
Going
Merry. Blech.
In the Straw Hats.
Yeah, in the Straw Hats. Because without Chopper, Luffy and Zoro would be dead.
There are a lot of times in which Luffy is kept alive solely because Chopper doesn't leave the ship.
Mm-hmm. And he's constantly concocting new medicines to keep the two most important and strongest crew members of the ship alive.
What do you actually feel about... Yeah, how do you feel about the idea that at the end of the day, Chopper is probably the crew member that does the least out of all of them?
Well, Chopper is a character who earns his stripes in different ways.
We just talked about, like, his 7 forms. How many times do you actually see him using arm point?
I think
How many times do you see him using, like, jump point? Like, he uses horn.
Well, the enemies get beefier and beefier, and Chopper is one of the characters that kind of gets left behind.
I think
because
arm
that's
point
not his
becomes
purpose.
like horn point because he uses that a lot.
These forms change as the enemies they fight get beefier. Is because Chopper's role on the ship is not to be the bruiser. That's Zoro's job. That's Sanji's job. That's even Luffy's job. Chopper's point is to basically keep the bruisers going. He keeps the cogs in the machine ticking. He keeps every part of the gears well oiled. It's what he does. He keeps the crew alive. And, he kind of backwards engineers ways to keep himself relevant in the fight.
Uh-huh.
And he's a character who's not going to stagnate himself either, Uh-huh. He doesn't just sit back on his laurels and just like, I'm on the most powerful crew that the world has ever seen. And I'm the doctor. I don't have to do anything. That's not what Chopper does. There are other characters that do that on the ship.
I feel like that he could be more involved, that he could have been more involved in the fights, but a lot of the times it literally just comes down to what in this arc, who are the two most important members of the crew besides Luffy. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, we get to a later arc where it's like, who are the two most important crew members of this? And you kind of look at it and you go, well, Sanji does a lot because of plot reasons. Talking about I think I know the one that recently ended.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Sanji does a lot.
Got lots to do in that.
But then you also have like, oh yeah, Nami got a power up in this, and so she ends up being like really useful. Oh, this character might is possible that they're going to join the crew. This character
is going to join the crew. It's only we're just going to run the clock out.
Are they using non-gendered terms here? Are they going to? No, I'm using the word they to cover up the fact that I don't want to say if they're male or female.
Also, we got more than one person dealing with here, so it is out.
Do you feel that they do they actually accompany them to into the next arc?
You didn't finish it? Oh, one did, the other did not.
Okay. I just wanted to know because it's like
I'm just gonna call it position 10.
Uh-huh.
Because that's the position being filled. Position 10 was running interference, and position 11 carried on over because position 11 was taking a dirt nap in the new ceilingless balcony of the ship.
Oh.
And position 8 is gonna flip out.
Uh-oh.
Position 8 still hasn't seen the ship.
Yeah,
you're like, oh no! Mm-hmm. There was a really good chapter this week, by the way. Really good chapter.
Yeah, so now that we've kind of talked about Chopper enough, what is our overall thoughts and opinions on these set of 5 episodes?
Oh, they were really good. This is a perfect way to end an arc. Drum Island has one of the fortunalities where the arc is pretty much strong all throughout it. It doesn't sacrifice form for function.
At least Drum Island. We're talking about the entire overarching plot of Alabasta.
Alabasta is really shaping up to be a place where the Straw Hats can find their footing in the world. Because they've hyped up the Grand Line as a dangerous place.
Do you consider Vivi position 6?
I put her position 6.5.
Okay,
because technically...
I would put her 5.5.
Because technically she's a Straw Hat.
Yeah, she's still technically
a Straw Hat. At this moment, she is a Straw Hat, through and through.
And
she
even up until the moment
the Straw Hats in overthrowing a government. She's a Straw Hat.
Yeah. Although, I would say if I feel that Chopper doesn't do enough, Vivi does even less.
Well, it's not her fault.
Yeah, it's not her fault. Her powers are all about single target, on par with her power levels.
She's got mid-range damage, and
Also, Karu is currently lost. We don't know where Karu is. I think he's gonna show up in the next episode because it'd be awkward to leave without him.
I thought he was on a ship.
Mm-mm. He jumped off to try to find out where Zoro went before Zoro teleported into the forest.
Because that's what Zoro does. He finds where the action is going to be, teleports there, and then meanders around until he becomes relevant in the plot. Like what just happened in the last few
you give
chapters.
This one a gold?
I give this whole drum arc a very high gold because it's strong all throughout the arc. The beginning is like the beginning of all One Piece arcs, where it's kind of like slow, and then it starts to rack up the action. It racks up the sad backstories of characters, which may or may not be important. And, it kind of plays the field, and then it doesn't overstay its welcome, unlike the arc after Alabasta is about to do.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of filler.
I can't remember if they, I believe they switch around the arcs in the anime than the manga, so you might actually like the next arc a little bit more than if the other one was up. Yeah. I could be wrong though.
These next couple episodes are gonna be gorgeous though.
Yeah, so I would give this one a platinum because there is a very strong likelihood that one of the episodes in this set, and you might be correct in thinking which one it is, will be my platinum. But I'm gonna give it a gold. I'm gonna say that we hold off on giving both platinums and
whole arc, because this whole arc
platinum
is
and
really
stones
good.
We're gonna give out in the end when everything's done.
I agree because
I feel like
a lot of really good episodes.
It's a lot better to hold off and say this is the one and this is the one for both of those.
As the series starts, we're nowhere near the end of One Piece. As the Alabasta saga draws to a close, I'm probably going to appoint my gold, my platinum, and stone at that point. You've already
given your stone.
Oh, I have mine. Oh!
Yeah, you forgot that it's still part of the same arc.
Why? It drags down the whole arc. It makes Usopp look useless and pointless to the whole crew.
Well, we're still working out the kinks to this whole podcast. Next week, we might actually not even do One Piece. We might actually do something else next week. Oh, yeah.
To keep us from being burned out. I'm still going to watch the episodes, though.
Yeah, me too, but we're also going to probably be watching. We might actually go over to another series and give, first 5 episodes. Maybe a +1 if it calls for it.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about those particular episodes and how we feel about the series. I have a few set up we can do. CB wants to come in and do another one for a completely another series that we're going to do.
On one of the series we're going to do too, because I've always wanted to get around to watching this one. I've just never had the motivation to do so because it's literally like trying to eat a whale.
We're probably gonna do like 4 series, and then we're gonna bring in CB for a side series that we're gonna be going on and off for like 1 week at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're still working out the kinks for this because we really want to start back up the podcast again.
And
so we have.
So next time we may be watching a completely different anime. We may come back with One Piece. And if we do, I'm gonna be fangirling out.
Okay.
For last 4/5 of the series, for the last 4/5 of that group of episodes, because we're about to watch an episode I've watched more than any other One Piece episode. I can practically recite how that episode is gonna go down.
Okay. See you guys later. Whichever comes out next week, hope to see you then.
Alright, see you guys.